So forecasting. So I'm going to explain here a couple of things. So first, as you can see, we have here the inbound volume and the required staffing. So we can forecast up to 1 year of inbound volume, and the same for required staffing. Where this volume comes from. So if you have been following us, we talk about the importance of work streams. So again, going back to the first or the second topic of this series of webinars, we talk about the work stream and how you can decide or what you can consider to select what are the work streams that you want to have. So work streams, again, is the way that we translate your tickets into the tool. So how we can read your tickets. And then you can select your work streams, or you can segment your work streams. We recommend to do this as per channel, because obviously when we're talking about the forecast, you might want to understand what is the inbound volume, what's going to be the required staffing, and each channel is going to have, in theory, a different SLA, let's say a different average handle time. So that's why you want to segment them minimum by channel. Now, if you want to then understand other things inside of your organization, let's say, I love the example of the languages. So maybe I support different languages in my contact center. So I want to understand how that's going to look, let's say in my peak season. So let's say I want to understand how that's going to look, the French tickets or Spanish tickets, English tickets, and of course require staffing, because I can understand then how many people I need with a specific skill. Okay. So this inbound volume that you see here is going to come from the historical data that we recover from Zendesk automatically. So you don't need to, if you decide to use Zendesk data, is very simple and straightforward how we recover the data, okay, because it's automatically. So I'm going to have here, I have all of my work streams here, and then I'm going to have here my inbound volume and my request staffing. As for the inbound volume, so we need ideally, so more data, more robust forecast we're going to produce, right? So ideally we need 2 years of data. By default, when you start using workforce management, we're going to recover 6 months of data. But if at some point you would like to recover more than 6 months, you can potentially request a data collection. And this is something that you can request via advocacy, okay? So just a tip there. So why I'm mentioning this, because when we have 2 years of data, we are able to produce 1 year of data of forecast based on your historicals, okay? Let's say if you have 1 year of data, we're going to produce 6 months of forecast, and then the rest of the year, to complete the year, we're going to, let's say, replicate that pattern that we have from the historical data, okay? So we can, just like summarizing, we can produce up to 1 year of data for the inbound volume and also for the required staffing. Yeah, so we have here as well inbound volume. I can expand here to see all of my work streams. I have here an eye icon that I can hide the information. So I'm just going to see the ones that I'm selecting here. In this case, I want to hide this one. This one, I just want to keep these 2 options here. So yeah, so I'm going to see here on the table, I can export these values. So this is going to be the inbound volume, historical inbound volume. I can see this on a daily view, weekly view, monthly, and year. So depending on the interval that I select here, or the view that I select here, I'm going to see the information in different intervals. So daily view is going to be 15 minutes increments. So I'm going to see what is my inbound volume every 15 minutes. In this case, I'm going just to go to, yeah, let's do tomorrow. And I'm going to see this every 15 minutes for each of the work streams that I am showing here. Then if I go to the weekly view, I'm going to see this per hour, okay? So again, 9, 11, 7, etc. Per month, I'm going to see this 24 hours, so 1 day. And per year, I'm going to see this in weekly intervals, okay? So again, every time that you expand here, you're going to have the values, and this is something that you can export. Yep, so just before we go to the important configurations, I wanted to explain as well a bit here. So as you can see, I have a folder, and this is interesting because I'm just going to hide this ones just to show you one. I'll just show this. So folders, you can create them here, and this is good when you want to see, let's say, the volume of two work streams together. This is good. Let's say that I have agents that they have the same skills, but you still have these work streams separately. So maybe I want to see what's the inbound volume for voice and chats as a whole. So in the folder, I'm going to have the total count of both inbound volumes, so for voice and for chats. And if I want to see like the separately how much that's it for each of those, I can also, a quick tip is also to hide and show the option here on the table. Okay, so you see the total basically. Then I have here the for chats and what is the inbound volume for voice. Okay, so again, folders are very good when you want to add together the same, like put together or sum the value or two of two work streams. This is good, again, when you have this agents with the same skill, or let's say that you have different languages and you want to see, let's say, tickets, English, voice English, chat English. So you want to see everything for that skill. Okay. And you can select different colors, change the name, etc. So now I'm going to, yeah, something else I wanted to say is we have options here to recalculate the forecast. So this icon here is to, let's say, fetch the data again and make sure that we update your historicals and we calculate the forecast with that information, right? So the way that you're going to understand when was the last time that you recalculated is that you're going to see this point here. So for instance, I see here that the last time that I recalculated this workstream was last Thursday. And then if you see, I have here forecast. So the information that I'm seeing here is forecasted data. And if I go before this dot, is going to say historical, meaning that we updated the volume with with what actually happened, okay? So this is good to do. Sometimes people ask, okay, when should I recalculate? Should I recalculate every day? I wouldn't say necessarily every day, but at least before you generate the schedule, make sure that you recalculate your work streams so you can have, let's say, fresh data when you generate the schedules, okay? So we have here the parameters. So I will divide, we have these four things that we have to set up to have a good forecast. And I will say that we have forecast parameters, volume adjustments, and outliers. These three are going to modify the inbound volume. And then staffing parameters is going to modify the required staffing. I'm going to change this to the weekly view because I like a bit more. And then forecast parameters. So we have here the algorithms. This is something that we implemented, I would say, maybe like a year ago. So now you have more algorithms that you can select for us to calculate the inbound volume, right? So the forecast set inbound volume. So by default, our AI is going to select the one that fits better the historical data that you have. But of course, you can always select different methods here. So I'm going to just make a quick pause here. So Diana, I don't know if you would like to give us a bit more of detail about the algorithm that we have available or anything that you want to add.
Follow up. So as Teresa said, first our tool already selects an automatic algorithm that will better match. So how do we calculate this better match? We train our algorithms into clusters. Clusters are basically groups of work streams, and they are continuously learning from all the work streams of our customers. And basically what we see is, okay, we have this work stream from your account that will match particularly this group. And monthly, we are basically rerunning that training and seeing what is the algorithm that fits best for that data of that cluster. And that's how we select the automatically. Then you have the option for you to just try it out and see whatever fits best, because AI is a magic box, as we know, and sometimes it doesn't fit exactly our expectations. And for that, you can select between the three. So statistical are basically mathematical formulas. This is not AI. And both of them take the last 12 weeks that you have of data, the last 8 weeks, and they project 12 weeks in the future. There's a minimum of data for you to work with statistical algorithms. You need to have at least 2 weeks of data. And basically, with 2 weeks, we project the next 4 weeks, and then we repeat that month into the next 2 months to do the 12 weeks of data that you need. Then the difference between the machine learning and the AI is that basically the machine learning, those algorithms will learn with your own work stream. They will basically look only for the data that you have. They will look, of course, into the training of the clustering, but they will basically do their calculations based on the data that you have. The AI ones will look into your work stream and similar work streams that we have in our database. So that's the basic difference. They both work with projections and algorithms, and they all do their magic tricks, but machine learning will learn only with yours, and AI will learn with our own database. I will not enter into detail, of course, into the algorithms, because that's a lot of voodoo magic that we know. But basically, just an FYI, that Prophet is an algorithm developed by Meta, and LightGBM is done by Microsoft. So these are algorithms that these companies developed, and they are specifically for forecasting. XGBoost is usually the one that is most used for forecasting in the industry. And yeah, I think this is all.
In case you want to as well check a bit more of information about each of these algorithms, to let you know that we have here a question mark. I don't know if we're able to see it, but we have like a very small question mark here. And if you click here, you're going to be redirected to this beautiful Help Center article where you have as well details about each of the things that Diana was mentioning, right? So 8-week average, a statistical method, and then you have as well like when it's better to use. So maybe if you don't have that much data yet, you can consider using this one, etc. If you have seasonality, we have a specific algorithms, but as Diana mentioned, and also experience have make me learn that sometimes you just have to check and create different scenarios, or like check what is the algorithm that fits better the expectations, okay? So once you have selected the algorithm, the next step for you is going to be apply volume adjustments and exclude outliers. So when it comes to volume adjustments, this is great in cases where you want to add value or decrease value on the, let's say, forecast data, most likely. Let's say that you have a marketing campaign and it's going to be for Black Friday next week. So you know already by like experience, or because it's Black Friday, you always have a lot of inbound volume or like incoming requests that you're going to have more than what we are forecasting here. So you can then apply an adjustment, let's say 10% more. I can call this marketing campaign or Black Friday. And I can then select here the time. So let's say from this week to this. And then I can then apply the change. This is a change that can be applied in percentage, or it can be applied in number of tickets, okay? So once you apply this, you're going to see if you're applying this like in a positive, like an increase, you're going to see how the inbound volume goes up for this week that you're selecting, or the days that you're selecting, okay? Then next step, you have outliers. I will say that it's kind of similar, but outliers are going to be applied to the past. So outliers, this is good when you want to remove a specific data from the historical data. So again, let's say that last week you had a technical issue and you receive a lot of emails, phone calls, chats with people complaining. This is not part of your normal, let's say, inbound volume. So you don't want those actuals or that historical data, that situation screw the rest of your forecast. So you can then again say here it works the same way. So you can say, let's say from November 1st to November the 3rd, you want to remove that peak of data that you had that day. So once you apply this, then it's going to be removed from the calculations. Okay. Yep. Okay. So now staffing parameters. So again, forecast parameters, volume adjustments, and exclude outliers, they are going to modify the inbound volume. Now, when it comes to the required staffing, this is going to be influenced by the inbound volume. So again, in a way, the parameters that you set up here are going to modify the inbound volume, and eventually they're going to be reflected as well on the required staffing. So staffing parameters, we are going to have then here, it's not necessarily SLAs as I would say like the full definition, but you have here some parameters of those type of tickets that you want to set. So let's say that we have different parameters depending on the channel. We have, for example, for email based work streams, we have occupancy, we have average handle time, first response time, shrinkage, and minimum staffing. When it comes to, by default, we're going to, depending on the conditions or the VIA types that you select on the workstream, this is going to be by default, but if at some point you need to change it, of course you can change it. I'm just going to select here the chat. So you can see that when you have a workstream based on chats or messaging, you can then have here occupancy as well, and then you have chat duration, chat concurrency, and wait time. And when we're talking about a voice channel, so phone calls, we have occupancy again, average handle time, and a speed of answer. So the important things here, I like to make the example with the email-based workstream. So we have here occupancy. So what is the percentage of time that your agents are working in productive activities, right? So and maybe more visual example, if I have someone working 8 hours, and of those 8 hours, 4 are worked on tickets and productive activities, that means that my occupancy is going to be 50%. So industry standard is 80. So you can then, it's like 75, 85. More than that, it's like burn out to your agents. That can mean that your agents can have burnout in the future. So we have this by default 80, but you can change this. So I can change this to 85, 75, etc. So it's not a value that is fixed. You can change this. Then we have the average handle time. So how much it takes for my agents to resolve tickets that are part of this workstream, in this case, tier 2. And for here, I have a tip. So you can use, let's say, Zendesk data or Zendesk Explore data, or you can use workforce management data. There is a slightly difference between both, because remember that Zendesk workforce management focus more on the actions performed by agents, or let's say agents performance, and Explore is more based on ticket lifetime. So I will say that the way that we collect the average handle time might be a bit more accurate for forecasting purposes. So my recommendation is that you can create a report, okay, where you can understand what is the average handle time for that specific workstream. And then it's very simple. So you come here to reports, let's say if you want to create a new one, you just have to click here. I have already one prepared for the demo, but basically is select the metrics, let's say average handle time, and then I can select here my attributes. So what is the information that I want to see? I have this by time breakdown because I wanted to see, for example, what was the average handle time per month, but I'm just going to select what is the average handle time now. So I'm going to select activity type. So I'm going to have here my average handle time, and I'm going to have here all of my work streams. So I select here from August till November. So this is the average handle time for all of this time frame. So we were talking about the tier 2 work stream. So this is my average handle time. So this is ideally what you can use as a reference to add that information here on the staffing parameters. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to leave it at 10 because 31 might be too much, but just for the sake of the example, you know already that you can use the reporting tool to understand a bit better what's your average handle time. And then we have first response time and the target. This is interesting as well, because this is something that you have to come here and play around to also check what's going to be the required staffing, because it's not the same. So this is a ticket, an email-based workstream. It's not the same if I'm saying here that I want that 80% of the times my tickets are replied under 4 hours. At least the first message sent to the customer has to be under 4 hours. If I add, let's say here, instead of 4, I add 12, probably this is going to impact the required staffing, and I'm going to need less agents because now theoretically they have more time to resolve that inbound volume that is coming. Okay, so it is important as well that you set up this up in a way that I will say match a bit the reality, and also you can play around with this because you have other work streams that you want to set up. So you might want to be more strict when it comes to live channels, and maybe give more, let's say, a different time frame here or different staffing parameters for non-live channels. So then the rest of the parameters, so we have shrinkage. So I would say similar to the occupancy, this is a value that we add here, but you can play around with this. So shrinkage, we count for where I'd say that time that agent is not available to work. And this can be, let's say, non-productive activities, or this can include as well time off, etc. So this works here, this works like a buffer. Okay, it's difficult for me to say, okay, this is like 0.3 of an agent that we're adding to your required staffing, but think about this as a buffer that we add here, depending on the number that you select. And the industry standard is around 15-20%, so you can play around with this as well. Basically, the minimum staffing, I will say that this has some impact when it comes to generating the schedule, but it's not like a hard requirement. For example, I can add here minimum staffing 20, but that doesn't mean that we're going to schedule 20 agents. You might don't have 20 agents, and then you have maybe other work streams. So this is, I would say, like a reference that you can use. At least add one. That will be my recommendation, and also play around with this if you would like to. Let's say that you have, again, I like to put the example of live channels versus non-live channels. If you have a live channel, you might want to play with the minimum staffing and add a higher number for live channels, just to make sure that when we are generating the schedule, that adds a bit more of weight in the generation of the schedule. But there is not like a perfect number for minimum staffing. So now, I don't know, Diana, if you want to say anything else about it.
But as you mentioned, this is really used by the scheduling when we automatic scheduling is trying to distribute the agents. It will always try to go with this minimum. So it will always try to put at least one agent if you have one here. The only cases where this cannot be respected is if you have like a lot of vacations and you don't have enough agents to respect this minimum. That's the only part where the automatic selection would not go and basically go over the one agent that you request. But normally it goes and respects it.
And everything. So the last thing here that we have is availability. So I really like to use this because I think it's perfect for specifically live channels. So we don't have any right now in this email account, but let me just add one. So let's say that the opening times of my chats or my phone lines is, let's say, from 1 to 9. I can select here per day specific opening times. Let's say that on Saturday, I open only 4 hours. So I can set up this. And then when I click save, we're going to show you here on the required staffing what is the volume of, let's say in this case, chat for those specific intervals. So as you can see here, we're only showing that information from the times that we set up here on the availability. Okay. This is great for live channels when you have like opening times and ending times. And then this potentially can be used as well, let's say, for email channels when you have already, let's say that your agents, they only work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And these are like the moments that you want to see the required staffing. You don't want to see the rest of the day. So you want to see it just for those times. Cool. So I think that's all when it comes to setting up the forecast. I wanted just to also add information about how you can also input inbound volume. So we have, as I mentioned, we recover automatically the information from your Zendesk historical data. But let's say that you are using another telephony system, or let's say that you're using another platform, and you would like still to input that you would like to forecast what's going to be the volume for that other platform that is not integrated into Zendesk. So we have a way that you can import the volume. So this is how I like to go with this, but feel free as well to add anything else, Elodie or Diana. But I like to create a fake work stream. okay? Because so we need an entry on the forecasting page so we can import the volume to that workstream. So very simple. What I do is I just go to my organization structure, right? So I go here to workstreams. I create a workstream and I use a condition that I know that I will never have. Okay, so in this case, user change, I don't use this regularly in my Zendesk account, but I have this option here. So that's what I use this one. But this is going to be only to create an entry, okay, on the forecasting page. So once I have this here, I have to prepare the CSV file that I'm going to import. And this is very important. So we have, if you want to find out where the template is, so you can come here, historical volume, import your updated data, and then you're going to have here the template. The template, what you will have to do is you will have to add every 15 minutes interval, what is the volume, okay? So once you have done this beautiful CSV file, you can then upload the CSV file here, and then you're going to see reflected here the information, okay? So if you have any system that you don't use or that is not integrated into Zendesk, you can still forecast and eventually schedule people to work on that type of work, okay?